Hey y'all, it's Lo May. I'm one half of the Girl What podcast. I will not be on today's episode just due to my beliefs, but don't think that I'm gone forever. I'll see y'all in 26. Happy New Year.
Happy Saturday and welcome to Girl What podcast. And this episode today is called 2026 Don't Play With Us. I am your solo guest today, the endearing Esther Jade. We have a very special guest in the studio who I will introduce later. But first up, for What's the Tea, Sis, we have Cathy Moe, astrologer, doing the Starry Tea. Cathy is a astrologer, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about the zodiac reading for 2026.
Welcome. I'm Starry Tea, inviting you to settle in with a cup of astrology. So just hold it in your hands and feel the warmth soothe away all your pressures because 2026 is just around the corner. If you're in Aries, with Neptune and Saturn entering your sign, your dreams combine with determination. You can build more than you may expect. As the hottest fire sign of the zodiac, nurture your inner flame. Make 2026 your year. Take a bold step forward. In romance and at work, your spiritual authenticity holds the key. If you're a Taurus, as Pluto creates a focus in your career, Uranus leaves your sign late April. You're nudged to loosen what no longer serves you. Explore fresh ways of connecting and communicating. Let go of old routines and open up to new rhythms that match your heartbeat. Your resilience shines in 2026. Gemini, Uranus makes its final move into your sign in late April. Expect surprising breakthroughs and fresh ideas that challenge the status quo. Your lighthearted curiosity is an asset. Ask questions, share your voice, and let innovation lead the way. Not only will you be heard, you might find romance too. If you're a Cancer, with Jupiter still in your sign for the first half of 2026, it's a time for emotional renewal in your sense of self and home life. Trust your instincts, hug those you love, and let your heart guide you. Uranus in your dream sector brings light and electric insights to the deepest part of yourself. Now, if you're a Leo, as Jupiter enters Leo around mid-year, it's your time to shine. Your creative energy, leadership, and personal magnetism will rise. Step into the spotlight with joy, remain grounded, and you'll find that your boldness invites new opportunities. Now, how about if you're a Virgo? With Pluto in Aquarius and the outer planets stirring change, you're being asked to re-examine your beliefs and systems, especially around service and daily routines. Trust that simplifying and aligning with what truly matters will make room for deeper growth. If you're a Libra, the shift of Neptune and Saturn into Aries means you'll be balancing your desire for harmony with a call to authentic self-assertion. It's okay to stand up, speak out, and say what you need. Partnerships flourish when based on mutual truth. For Scorpio in 2026, with Pluto steady in Aquarius and Jupiter moving into Leo, you're in a phase of transformation that invites you to release the old and emerge with renewed power. Be patient with the process. Your depth becomes a foundation for meaningful change. For Sagittarius, as the outer planets shift, you're encouraged to expand your world in fresh ways, learning, exploring, and embracing new visions. Stay open, but remember that true freedom comes with responsibility and thoughtful direction. For Capricorn, with Saturn re-entering Aries and major transits in motion, you're being invited to redefine what success means on your terms. Structure your dreams with care, and you'll find that the discipline you bring now pays off in long-term fulfillment. For Aquarius, With Pluto firmly in your sign and Saturn, Neptune activating the axis of Aries, you're moving into a phase of deeper personal power and collective awareness. So, Aquarius, embrace the vision you've had for years and let your authenticity lead you into new realms of influence. And Pisces, with Neptune transitioning into Aries and Saturn making its move, you're being called to channel your intuition into action. Your gentleness is a gift. Let it be the bridge to grounded purpose, and you'll find you can make a real difference without losing your gentle touch. And that's what we have. I'm Starry Tea, and I'm looking forward to you having a great 2026. Take care.
Welcome back to Girl What Podcast. This is Esther Jade, and we're just coming back from our break. We had the wonderful Cathy Moe giving us the Starry Tea and all the sweet sips for our zodiac signs of 2026. A little bit more about Cathy. She's a woman shaped by many shores. Born under the California sun and now rooted in the lush magic of Hawaii, her path has carried her through Ohio, Virginia, Japan, the Channel Islands of Guernsey, and the ancient winds of Scotland. A UCLA-trained storyteller with a degree in film and television, Cathy followed a deeper calling, one awakened through tantric yoga, Native American medicine, and the visions that rose to meet her. Those experiences opened the door to the work she was truly meant for, astrology as a lived and embodied spiritual language. Her voice has reached listeners across the world through phone and radio on the BBC, and her horoscopes have appeared in publications such as CNN Magazine, The Leader, Metropolitan, Metropolitus, and the Guernsey Globe. She also lends her warm celestial intuition as the voice of our Starry Tea, guiding listeners through the cosmos, one sip at a time. If you'd like to explore more of Cathy's cosmic insights, you can find her at tokyosavvy.com, astro7, the number 7 girl.com, or on Instagram as Savvy Tokyo. So now we are going to jump into our love, baby, and other grown folks business, where we're going to talk about the 2026 energy forecast for Richmond, Virginia, where I'm going to kind of have a little, interview of myself as, since we don't have anybody. I'm curious to tap into my own brain today. So the first question is, looking back at 2025, what personal lessons or breakthroughs am I carrying into 2026, and how do I see those shaping the energy of my work and presence here in Richmond? Well, I will say this. 2025 has been very, very, very low, and I think everyone's been affected by that. But I think the one thing that has kept me really focused, feeling the love, feeling poured into, is community. I have a lot of faith in community. I feel like that's where our answer is going to be. And so, some of the things that I learned is there are some things you don't need. Like, there's some things that you can put down into the side until you need it for later. And also that, if you can't do it today, there's always tomorrow. There's not this, I'm feeling this need not to have to do everything at once. Trying to keep my plate as empty as possible. And most of that is just listening to my body. Some of the breakthroughs are one being this podcast. I just stumbled upon this very haphazardly, not really looking for it, just doing work with my nonprofit and not realizing that it would be the next stepping stone into my goals of what I want to do for the Richmond community, which is you, dear listener. And what I'm carrying into 2026 is not only community, but is learning how to love myself differently by learning to listen to myself, listen to my body. And that has, been something that is forever going to shape my work and my presence here in Richmond. So what were my biggest wins or moments of growth this year, and how do they align with the opportunities I hope to see emerging for Richmond's communities in 2026? one of the big wins is the nonprofit I was a part of. I raised over $5,000 for them. And it wasn't really for the nonprofit, but it was for our work that we were doing through the community. Not only were we focused on sisters, support, and service, community is a big part of that and how that can be implemented. And being able to have that money raised so that we could do different projects so that we could reach the Richmond community so that we could experience a tea party or, women could get, wellness, and by taking a day out to really focus on, listening to themselves and pouring back into themselves, because as mothers, single women, working, not working, business owners, or we work for someone else, we all have something in common, which was we were exhausted and we're used to putting ourselves last, or, I'll do this for myself tomorrow. And instead of doing that, we're putting ourselves first. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and the airline attendant is giving you the prompts on how to put on your life vest. And they always say to put it on you first, because if you don't take care of yourself first, how can you take care of everyone else? So that was like a really big win. And just because one door closes doesn't mean that another one doesn't. And I had a door closed pretty hard in my face, I might say, recently. But it only opened up an avenue of where I needed to go, where the ancestors were leading me to go. And it had been something that was weighing on my mind for a while about how am I going to do this and still take care of myself. And look at that. The universe did it for me. As I tune into the collective energy of Richmond, what shifts, intentions, or transformations do I hope our city moves towards in the new year, spiritually, socially, or creatively? Honestly, I'm going to look at this from a social standpoint. I really do want people to start trying to deconstruct the things that we were forced to learn, and start questioning the things that we do and why we do it. It's nothing wrong with questioning, well, why do I, like, for instance, pink? Or why do I think something should be a certain way? And having certain proclivities, and just actually having a conversation of where that comes from and being curious about ourselves. And I think my hope just socially is that we understand that we're all more alike than we are different. And I'd like to add on a spiritual level that I think a lot of people aren't understanding, no matter what spiritual journey you're on, that you have to feed yourself first spiritually. And that begins with believing in yourself and understanding that you have the power. And that is my hope for Richmond, is that going in 2026, reclaim your power. You all have it. So that will lead me into my call of action. I've shared my heart with you, and now I want to tap into the pulse of the community. So tell me, what did 2025 teach you, and how will that guide your path in 2026? The next question is, what were the moments you grew or glowed the most from this year? And then finally, when you feel into Richmond's collective energy, what changes or transformations do you want for our city as we step into the new year? I know these are probably pretty deep questions, and we usually don't, ask this many deep questions, but I think it's worth the try of actually, answering at least two of these questions and letting us know, sharing, whether it's at girlwhatpodcast@gmail.com or with us on Instagram at girlwhatpodcast. Or you can make a comment below in our YouTube video. We'd love to hear from you. Even send us a voice memo through our DMs. That would be lovely. We would love to hear what the collective has to say. So we will be back with more and our special guest here on Girl What Podcast. And thank you for returning to Girl What Podcast. Now we're going to jump into the group chat got deep, and I'm really excited about this. This segment, or this rendition of this segment, is titled 2026 Reiki Reading for Esther. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest. Today, our guest is bringing all the energy, literally. Okay, we are joined by Christina Roka, a Reiki professional and energy alchemist, and the intuitive force behind Sirius and the Ren. Christina is a certified Reiki master for both people and animals, and she's been a heart-first, nature-rooted soul her entire life. After years of feeling the nudge, she answered the call in early 2024 and launched her practice, all while still serving as an HR director in the corporate world. And that unique blend gives her something powerful: a deep understanding of stress, burnout, human complexity, and the need to support the whole person. She doesn't just talk about energy, she helps people feel their own. So let's be real. Balancing corporate leadership, multiple HR certifications, and an energy healing business is an achievement in itself. Christina listened to her intuition and built something sacred right in the middle of everyday life. So one of the most intriguing things about her practice is the way she works. So Reiki can happen anywhere. Sessions can be done remotely and in her serenity of her home in New Kent, or she'll come to you and your animals across the greater Richmond area. And the name Sirius and the Wren, it's a love letter to the energies that shaped her life. Sirius, the dog star, the brightest star in the sky, named for her beloved dog who walked with her through her 20s, and the Wren, a tiny yet mighty bird known for its curiosity, tenacity, and nonstop chatter. And that blend of power, intuition, and gentle fierceness is exactly what Christina brings into her work. So let's welcome Christina to Girl What podcast to talk energy, intuition, healing, and everything in between. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much.
Here.
I'm stoked to be here.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Like, what led you into being a Reiki professional or practitioner?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for that beautiful intro. That
You're
was
welcome.
Wonderful. I got all goosebumpy, which is great. So as you said in my little intro there, I've been a energy-focused, nature-focused person forever, I would say. I heard from the womb. I hear a lot of intuitive stuff, so I heard from the womb. Yes, there we go. And I moved down to the Richmond area a little over 4 years ago from the DC area. And I moved to Virginia 11 years ago, and the original thought was to be down in this area. And then it changed last minute, and I was just kind of going with the flow. And then a few years later, it happened to be that I was coming down here all the time. I had a friend that moved down here, and I was like, oh, I was going to be here a few years ago, but, and then the opportunity occurred to move down here. And I said, yep, I'm going to do that. And I settled down in Quinton in New Kent. And I live near a lake and among the trees and the birds and the wrens specifically, and not to discount all my other bird friends. And really got closer with the earth. You know, like I said, I've always been an earth-based person, but I think taking the opportunity and listening to the nudge, the push, hey, the door's open, you should walk through it, to move down here, and then really being closer to the earth than I was in my high rise in Arlington. When I still lived up in Arlington and I was coming down here all the time, you know, I'd hear the birds up on my high floor apartment. And then I would come down here and be like, oh, there's like bunnies in the yard, and there's, you know, all
see life.
all the things.
Yeah.
I can see the stars, you know. So fast forward after being here for a little while, and then I just was like, I need more of this. What am I going to do? And my mother is a Reiki master as well, and we talked about it a little, but she, you know, wasn't like, you should do this or anything like that. I just kind of started looking into it. And then once I had decided to take some classes and get certified and all that, I told her, and she said, yeah, well, you kind of already do it. And I said,
kind of like the family heirloom.
I wouldn't say that. She's probably more that way, but so once I dug into that, and then when you go through Reiki certification and classes, there's a progression, right? And after the first and the second, I don't want this to sound negative at all, but your world kind of gets rocked because you're attuned to the Reiki energy, and that is going to clear away and churn stuff up so you are clear to do so. And that process never ends, right?
I can imagine.
There's new stuff that comes up all the time, and we're just
processing
as anybody is, but there's kind of like a different tone to it, a different flavor. It's like I don't want to say it's amplified because that belittles other people's stuff, but that's not. It's just a different frequency, so to speak.
So when how do you explain it when you're doing this to someone who's new to it? Like, I know.
Like you?
Yes, like me.
So, Reiki means life force energy. That's all it means. And Reiki runs through everything. Everything from my knee to this table to this microphone, everything. And me being a Reiki master and practitioner means that I'm attuned to it, right? Like there's a certain process and accessing and letting that channel be open and letting me be open enough to channel that for somebody else. I think what I said to you in the beginning of our session, and then it totally made sense after, which is always wonderful when that happens. But I said Reiki is to help people learn how to get out of their own way, really. So, and like you mentioned, I also work with animals as well. And that's the same kind of thing. Animals are so much better than we are, I have to say.
I agree.
And when I do sessions with animals, it's a different vibe. So it's not the same feel as like get out of your own way, but
they're more in tune with the nature, with the land.
Right.
So
they can still
probably
hear it.
easier.
Right. But there's like a reciprocal with them that's, I'm not going to say not the same with people, but it's just different. So what Reiki does, Reiki will go wherever it needs to. I am merely a channel for the energy, and that's coming from the ether, from the earth, wherever you want to think of. For me, it's both, and it's going to, Reiki will flow where it needs to go. When I have a session like I did with you, and we had a remote session over FaceTime, I kind of do a scan to see or to feel what wants to be.
Did you want to tell them when you scanned me, what you felt?
It's up to you.
Yes, let's do it. That's why you're here today. I'm the guinea pig, y'all.
So with Anita, I kind of went through and feeling the chakras in different areas. And there was a lot of heart that wanted attention to, I will say. It's a weird thing to describe. Heart, a little bit of throat, which I also said was pretty much ubiquitous with women. Throat chakra needs a little love. But heart and solar plexus and sacral and root as well. So the lower chakras. I'll let you talk about. It feels a little weird for me to talk about what you experienced, but I felt like I was interacting. I believe I said inner child stuff. And then when we came back to you, you were like, I know exactly what's going on. So
yes, exactly. It's like I couldn't even hold it in. Like during the session, and this is, I cried, which is good because that's what I kind of do when I'm releasing something, and it just it feels like this. It felt like an unloading of anger. and anger. But I felt like it was, or I feel like it's anger I need for my mission. And that it was like tingling and flowing and like air running through my joints. So like it was just a connection to myself and others was really prevalent in the whole thing. But I think what I liked the most is that as you were describing, and of course I got, emotional because it was one of those things where I wanted to, I knew exactly what you're saying, right? And like when you're saying there was like a pulling and wanting to, that's when I got emotional and I wanted to, I was crying because it was like I knew exactly what you were talking about and that it was anger and and I did need it and I didn't want it taken away. I like to think I'm a little bit more in tune to my, my body and my emotional state. And, it was just very reaffirming and just, I don't know what the other word would be for it, but just to know that not being seen, but knowing that you're not crazy.
No, I think you did first of all, you did a really good job. From the beginning of sessions, I always say, whatever comes up, allow it, because it's whatever wants to move up and out, and you did that. So that was perfect instead of holding, right? And I don't think I named it anger. I just named it something, but I
named it anger.
Right. I was in this general area and I was...
She's pointing to her heart.
Sorry.
You're good.
And just churning energy up, what wants to move out and remove what no longer serves, to use that kind of phrasing. And you sort of mentioned this a couple seconds ago, but I was trying to, okay, let's flow this out. And there was like a, no, I need that kind of a vibe. And I was like, but are you sure you need that? And then it was like, can we put it over here and it'll be available to you? And I think that was when you were like,
I did. Exactly. Look, people who know me, I'm not shy about it at all. Because before the session, I was feeling like hurt, stress, annoyance of situations leading up to it. And like I said before we got into our session, that I feel like the universe aligned us because I had a lot of stuff leading up. And I knew, like, okay, I have all of these deliverables leading up to this event on Saturday. And it just fell into my lap that, we had a spot open on our podcast. And then that you had availability. And that was like, that was like literally the saving grace to the end of my week.
There are no coincidences.
No, they're not. But afterwards, I felt like lightness, obviously confirmation of my energy and power and my mission. And so a renewal in my mission and my passion and my community especially, and I'm sure anyone can attest to this who does community work. It is a lot.
Yeah.
We are long gone from the days of living in, a community. Everyone had their role. You get in what you put in. You take out what you put in. And when when you're trying to establish or reemerge something as community, it's really hard to get everyone on board because we have a lot of people separated by individualism or insecurity and or where they stand on the hierarchical chart or level or whatever you want to call it, because they want to be higher than the next.
Right.
And that makes it very difficult to, one, get people to buy into community and B, to do the work. People love being a part of a community, especially if they can take, but when it comes, I feel when it comes time to actually do the work, it is a lot of work, right? And it's not just physical, it's also energy.
Yes, it's extremely energetically taxing.
Yes.
And so there's hygiene that is important for sure.
And I felt like Reiki really did that for me. What is a common misconception people have about Reiki?
I would say the biggest is that it's not real. It does, there's no basis in it. Another would be that it's attached to a specific religion and that it's maybe against other religions because of that. That's not the case at all.
Yeah.
It's not about religion. I think spirituality and intuition kind of go hand in hand with Reiki because letting that Reiki energy flow through, you're going to get more information because we're
a computer.
we're just souls in a meat suit,
Yeah.
right? So we're not, and
Yeah.
if we can gratefully tap into a different channel, then we're going to get more information. So that's why they are together, But
More data. I love it.
yes, we only are seeing this
Yeah.
much of any or
Nano.
feeling anything.
Nanobite.
Right. And even as humans, there's so much information, energy, wisdom is what I just heard. Yes, okay. Coming up from Gaia, from the ethers, from everywhere, and we're only taking in, even as humans who are enlightened or have reached ascension or however you want to say it, even then, those people are only getting a bigger than our like nothing, but this much, right? So more information is coming in, but that doesn't mean that it's to go back to back from the tangent I just went on.
No, you're good.
It's not attached to any specific religion. Now, every Reiki master practitioner is different, and some may lean further into a religious piece, but there isn't a religious piece, but they're going to attach it to that. I personally don't. So there's that. I'll end on that misconception.
How do you personally prepare for your energy before a session? Because again, that's a lot of work.
I won't say it's work, but it's important to make sure that I'm right, that I'm coming to it properly. If I've got some crazy stuff going on, then I need to step out of that. So whether it's regardless of where the session is, so it could be a remote session like we had, it could be someone coming to my home Reiki room, and it could be me packing up my table and some stuff and going to someone's home. I'm still preparing myself in the space the same. So I'm clearing that space, and I do that with either sage or rosemary or Palo Santo, different smudge type things. And sound, I'm big on sound, so I use bells and chimes, much to the chagrin of my beagle, because he's like, why the bells? Oh, he's like, I'm already clear. Why are you doing this? But then I just in quiet or out loud, however I'm feeling at the moment, because once that stuff just flowing, I just do. I'm calling in my crew, my teachers, my guides, I've got a whole thing. And then I'm also doing the same for whomever I'm working on, whether it's you, a different client, a dog, a horse, a cat, whatever. And I like to do that a little bit before the session, just to kind of light the fire.
Okay.
And then we get into the session and start rocking and rolling.
Well, for those who are interested in Reiki, and I suggest that you all try it, can you tell everyone where they can find you? Or actually, I know where they can find you. All right. They can find Sirius and the Ren on all social media platforms, and that's spelled SIRIUS and the word and the THE Ren, WREN, on Instagram, on Facebook, and TikTok.
Yes.
Is there any other places you'd like anyone to find you?
My website, which is also SiriusandTheRen.com.
All right. We'll have that down in the YouTube description. All right. we're going to head on into our That's It for 2025, our last episode of the year. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. In today's episode 2026, Don't Play With Us, we got some Starry Tea from Astrologer Cathy Moe. And then we went right into talking to me about what I felt like the energy forecast for Richmond would be in 2026. And then we ended with a 2026 Reiki reading for myself, done by the incredible Christina Roka. And I just wanted to remind everyone, as you are moving about this holiday season, please practice kindness because it doesn't cost anything. But also be authentic. That's what keeps us human. And understand that, as much as you want to be seen, someone else wants to be seen. Take that first step. It doesn't hurt. And I always tell my kids, what kind of decisions? And their response back is smart decisions, and it doesn't cost to be kind. So please remember that. And going into 2026, go out there with an open heart. Don't be scared. Thanks for listening to Girl Podcast. This is Esther Jade.
Stay connected to Girl What Podcast by following us online. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Girl What Podcast. That's GURLWHET We'd love to keep in touch with you. Come on, keep talking with us. That's what we do, right? Mm-hmm. So we have our, reflections. If you have any questions, comments, or you yourself want to reflect on anything you've heard us talk about, please don't be afraid to hit us up. Again, you can hit us up in our DMs on Instagram, or if you want to comment under one of our YouTube posts, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, both of those handles are Girl What Podcast, GURLWHETPODCAST.
And you also have the option to leave us a voice memo in our DMs or leave us a voice message at 804-476-0905. Again, that number is 804-476-0905. And with your permission, we may feature it in a future episode. Your voice helps us shape meaningful dialogue on Girl What. So remember to stay in community. Remember to stay bold. And girl, keep talking.